bureaucracy's basement to your ears. This is the weekly meeting of the Queen City Improvement Bureau. Each week, the dedicated staff of the Bureau meet to file recommendations, make reports, and survive on water that drips from the boiler pipes into their mouths as they sleep on a bed of dot matrix printer paper, wearing like really cute little nightcaps. It's great. You should come down and see it sometime. Maybe one day we'll escape from the subterranean hell that is this basement, but until that day comes, this city is not going to improve itself. So here we stay, improving things. This meeting is now in session.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
How are you doing?
Oh, great.
Good.
Excuse me.
Apparently not that great.
No, it's the mold on the walls that gets to you.
I know. Yeah. But just think about it this way.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, someday, we will all be ground up into like nutrients for the mycelial tendrils in the subbasement.
And by dint of that, we gain immortality.
Exactly.
But we don't get good vacations. We're stuck on the walls.
Breathe it in, live forever. That's our motto.
Was that on the package when we got the mold?
Yes.
Breathe it in, live
Yes,
forever.
it was.
Like, what a great deal, we thought.
Brilliant.
Now
we were so smart.
Yeah, we've got buyer's remorse. A little bit.
Yeah. Hey, I think we got to do that attendance thing.
Wow, that's a funky way of introducing attendance. You are.
You can do it.
You're 6. I don't know how tall you are. Like 6-ish feet, maybe. I have no idea. 5'10". How tall are you, sir?
This isn't the circus. You're not guessing my height and weight.
You're about 180, 70 pounds.
Yes, 180, 70 pounds.
That's very good.
Exactly.
And what do I win?
You win this rubber chicken.
Hey! Anyway, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I know who you are.
Who?
I believe it starts with an M or maybe a W.
No, it's a P.
Perrin Dulac.
Oh, I like that.
I know.
If only my parents had been that creative.
I know. If only they'd given you a different
Dulac.
first name and last name.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they just named me Paul Duchesne.
Well, you take what you can get.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody might think that's a classy name, though.
Perrin Dulac or Paul Duchesne? Perrin Dulac is indisputably.
We know that
that's
Perrin
classy.
Dulac is very classy.
Yeah.
Paul Duchesne, on the other hand, if somebody didn't know you, they would go, that sounds like a fine gentleman about town.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. If French was an exotic language to them, perhaps.
And if they did know you, they'd say, that is a fine gentleman about town or about the subbasement.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
You are.
I'm about 5'5", 5'4". See, I know this stuff already. I'm around 150 pounds.
Well, you're holding that tape measure, so you're kind of cheating.
I'm pretty. I know, and I've got a fine bushy beard today.
You do.
I do. It's good.
It looks
it's
great.
Thank you very much. It's kind of. I can feel it. It's getting
Is it
much.
moving? Like mycelium?
That's right. Yes. Grow your beard, live forever. That's what the package said.
It did.
Pretty suspicious. Same company as the people that sold us the
mold.
The mold. Anyway, but it's getting there. Right. No, I'm Aidan Morgan. I know that about myself.
You are, and you're present. I'm present. Do we have quorum?
Never.
Damn it.
But we have a guest.
We do.
What?
We do.
Why am I
we have Victoria Flores. Hello and welcome.
Hello.
Or as I would like to have you known as.
I want to defer to the boss of Ward 6.
The boss of Ward 6.
That's me.
Hey, boss of Ward 6.
I did not know my access card got me all the way down here.
It did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Few people know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. New with the new council.
Yes.
Yeah.
Must be a new access card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a word I forgot.
Opens a trap door, you fall through.
Yeah.
But if you're lucky, you can get out again.
Yeah.
So.
Our meetings are only an hour, so you'll be fine. Then the time locks come off and you go back to work.
10. I got used to that.
Oh, right?
Kind of fun.
No, it isn't.
Let's get some delegations in here.
Yeah.
I have them waiting outside. I mean,
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I thought this was a full meeting. I have delegations.
No, we're not really set up for delegations.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, there's nothing in our bylaw about that. No. Sorry,
Right.
You'll have to send them home, disgruntled and disappointed, like all delegations.
Oh, no.
So you are the councillor for Ward 6.
Yes, I am. Newly elected Ward 6 City Council.
Yeah, so as you referenced, 10-hour meeting yesterday.
Yes.
Actually, over 10. It was like past 11 when you guys finished up.
11:30-ish something, yeah.
And last week, record-breaking 4 days of budget.
I'm just an overachiever.
Overachiever. Okay.
So those 4 days are all because of you.
Absolutely.
Have you woken up and realized that you made a horrible mistake running for city council?
Only when I look at the internet. No.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
No. Actually, no. I'm really enjoying it. I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I've been involved with community for a long time. This is just like a different way of doing it, and it is nothing what I thought it would be like, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it interesting because sometimes people ask me like, "What is it like?" And I think something that stands out is before running, it's painted this part-time position, and I'm like, "There's nothing part-time about this."
Yeah.
So especially 10+ hour city council meetings, but so it's there's so much to it, and like community stuff when people call you because they need information or help or things like that, but just the whole part of like preparing policy and like the research and talking with them, like there's a lot to it. So yeah.
What? So you mentioned that it's nothing like what you expected.
Yes.
So beyond like what did you expect versus like what were your blasted expectations?
I think because I've been in a number of boards, right? You usually prepare for your meeting and then that's it, right? So that part that met the expectations in terms of okay, I have a schedule when I'm supposed to be there, but there is so much that happens outside of it. As I mentioned, we have a public email and public phone number that people can just call anytime. And through that, I get to learn about all of the concerns and things that happen within Ward 6 and figure out, how can I help assist with that or who is the best person. Sometimes there are calls that are very much like, hey, someone cut me off in traffic today. You fix that intersection. It's like, all right. Or like other much more serious calls like, hey, there are issues with like toxic fumes coming out of here. Like what's happening with the bylaw? And like, I don't know that right now, but I'm about to find out. And that's kind of fun for me. I like learning new things. So, yeah.
Awesome. What has been more enjoyable than you were expecting?
My favorite part has been being out in the community because we get invited to so many things.
Yeah.
And I feel like I haven't had to like cook in a long time because a lot of that includes being fed. So no, it's actually really great because we have so many incredible community groups for all kinds of things, and they have gatherings of celebrations, recognizing different dates or fundraisers, and going on behalf of the city, and I get to learn a lot more about that, and that's been my favorite part.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if the city's feeding you, maybe we could cut your salaries by 5%.
I did not volunteer for that. I have thoughts, but
okay. Yeah, that was a reference to like two councillors offered up 5% of their salary.
How much of a mill rate would we save with that? Like, is there like a 0.000 something?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's something.
It would be 4 whole digits of money.
Ooh.
Look, every penny counts.
If you're throwing nickels around like manhole covers. Sorry. Well, I did want to talk to you about the budget.
All right.
Because that was epic. It was 7.33 mill rate increase.
Yep.
So that was a record.
Ooh.
Yep.
And then 4 days of budget deliberations, 8 hours a day. of budget
Yes.
deliberations for 4 days. That was also a record breaker.
Yes.
So how did you feel going through? Like, that must have been a brutal process because you had to learn so much.
Yep.
And then you guys also, like, with 9 new people on an 11-person board, were making decisions for the whole city without a lot of, like, I mean, beyond staff, missing a lot of institutional knowledge.
Yeah, I think that was probably the hardest part in terms of making calls on things that, we're going to do this again in December.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that have been, like, planned around this budget. So for me, and I thought about it, like, going into the budget and looking at the increases, and the city's increase was small compared to the rest, right? Like, I think that was the hardest part when I meant, like, going on the internet. It's just looking at the way people interpret that. And, you know, somebody's like, this is going to break the bank. It's like, for some people, it absolutely could. Absolutely. Yeah. But on average, I think it's like, if you look just at the city increase, is not that much. But when you start adding the dedicated mill rates, police and real and all of that, it adds up quite a bit.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, like, trying to figure out, is there a balance to this, or do we just continue to try to, like, bring down the budget and then later on we pay for it? Because from what I saw, that's what's happened, right? Like, everything is going up, and my understanding is, like, our increase, the city increase, didn't even match inflation.
No.
So how do we continue operating all the services that we have to without the funds to do so? And, you know, a lot of people bring up, well, there has to be efficiencies, and I think so. Probably is tons of them. I just don't think finding those efficiencies on the floor of council is the best practice. I think that's an exercise that we should all, like, undertake throughout the next few months as we learn, okay, how does this department work? What is this doing? Can we, there's much smarter people than me that can figure those things out, right? Like, that's when you consult with the experts on those fields. So, but that was the hard part, right? It's like, how do you marry the fact that you want to make people feel heard and happy, because they are, like, things are tough out there, right? Like, I want to make sure that people know that I understand that, but at the same time, like, we can't just cut things for the sake of cutting and then we have to pay for it later.
Yeah.
So
I did note that you guys did manage to bring down the mill rate increase from 8.5 to 7.33. Part of that was, I didn't warn you that I was going to ambush you with this.
Oh, boy.
Because it wouldn't have been an ambush.
Okay.
That's
I'm
a good
ready.
Point. Part of that, yeah, exactly. I'm like a tiger of the radio.
No. Shannon's a tiger.
Yeah, that's true. I'm more of a puma.
There you go.
It's Puma? Puma. Oh, my God.
Unacceptable. Can't believe I'm in the minority here.
You know how I feel. Sorry.
Nice. Anyway, back to the Puma things.
Yeah, so no, the question I had for you is, so you guys did the 0.5% mill rate increase that is unfunded.
Decreased, yeah.
Yeah, so you decreased the mill rate by 0.5%. Yeah. I guess that was what, like $1.6 million.
Yeah.
That was unfunded, so there was nothing to, like, offset that reduction. So technically, the operating budget is in deficit right now, and this is the second time council has done that. You guys did, well, not you, it was the last council.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 budgets ago, maybe 3, and it was Councillor Bershani. Yeah, time. Wow. It flies, man.
Yeah, man.
And that was a 1% mill rate increase. Again, unfunded, technically in deficit budget. When this was happening, because it did seem to be, there was so much chaos around this, because, like, originally it was going to be 0.5% drop in the mill rate, funded off the backs of staff being fired. This is, like, unfunded, but, you know, at least nobody will necessarily get fired.
Except for us.
Yeah. Well, keep our heads down.
I think they forgot about you guys in the basement. Just
really? Oh.
That's fine.
We've suspected this for a while.
Thanks, Victoria.
I'm trying to keep your jobs.
Oh, good. You're fighting for us?
Yes.
Thank you. So anyways, was it flagged, that this was, you were going into deficit, that this was kind of flying on the seat of your pants or whatever? Like, how did this all go down? Can you tell us any of like the sort of like rationale behind doing this in this way?
That happened so fast. I know it happened, like, it was a long budget, long days, but that part, especially the day before when it was going to be by reducing staff.
Yeah.
Actually, I had to go home sick. And I, like...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I had some weird food poisoning and joke that maybe someone's trying to take me out. So I took the rest of the meeting from home virtually.
Yeah.
And it was such a weird feeling, like watching it there, but trying to be part of these conversations because, again, yes, I am all for saving money and trying to be fiscally responsible, but this just felt like this is not going to achieve what I think they're trying to achieve. And the first thing, it didn't sit right with me because we are sending this message like, hey, I don't know, figure out some stuff, cut them loose. And I'm like, well, are we considering the severances? Because that's going to impact the number of staff if we're going for a specific number. So, like, do we hire after?
Yeah.
Right? So, like, what is the logistics behind all of this? I feel like this should be worked out, not in a public forum this way, but okay. Seems like that's the majority, not me, but like seems like that's the majority. And I think the following day there were more conversations that said, like, yeah, that's probably not the best approach. So let's find a different approach. And I think that was the compromise. I still didn't agree with it. I think for the timing, given that we're going to do this again in December, let's find that then in a process that allows administration to plan for it.
Yeah.
Because I do want to say, like, how can we decrease spending in a way that's sustainable and then that's fiscally responsible, not just to say that we did, right? So it was very weird. It was very fast, and I was not prepared for it because I am not a numbers accountant person. So it's not like I can just like throw numbers out there. I'm like, I just have to trust that the people that have been doing this for decades and it's their job, they've presented me with a budget that they believe is what they need. And
then on top of it all, you were maybe dying from salmonella.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was tough.
Yeah.
Maybe my body was like, please leave.
Yeah. Your body is smart. But we are on 91.3 FM, CJTR. Access Now, community radio.
Very nice.
In Regina. And we're the Queen City Improvement Bureau, and we're talking with the boss of Ward 6, Victoria Flores.
I did not give myself that name.
No.
Actually, when I was a kid, my father was a local councillor for the town I lived in, a place called Chester. And I remember a kid came up to him one day at the drugstore and said, "Hey, aren't you the boss of Chester?" So
I love it.
Like this kid wanted somebody fired from some store.
I hate my teacher.
Yep, that was pretty much it.
That's nice.
You get her fired.
A town called Chester.
A town called Chester.
All right.
Chester, Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Yes.
They got the craziest names out there on the East Coast. Not like here in sane, normal Saskatchewan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have you been to Elbow?
I've not been to Elbow.
Me neither.
I know
been to
it
Elbow.
exists.
How is Elbow?
It's really nice.
Okay.
It's
I
like
know
there's
someone
little-
from Elbow.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
But I've never...
I wanted.
It's
Boss.
near the, it's on the lake. So this is marina.
I want to defer to.
Sorry.
What are you doing?
Yeah, the machines are all going
Noises
crazy.
are coming from your machine.
Yes, I'm sorry. That's my fault.
Okay.
On the budget, I actually wanted to ask you about. There was a thing that came up that I thought was funny.
Yes.
And it was the attempt to, like, kill the electric buses. There were, like,
They're a scourge. They must be dealt with.
The fascinating thing about budgets, and this wasn't just true for your guys' budget, but for every budget, is that like 90% of the drama is councillors trying to do things and being told you cannot do that, and the motion failing in a vote. And days, well, in this case, days went by of nothing actually happening, just motions coming forward and failing. So the one that I wanted to, I've got like a 1 minute that I would like to play.
Yeah.
This is of your colleagues, Councillor Siklis and Councillor Shannon Zakidniak, talking about the bus. So Councillor Siklis brings this motion to cancel. So we are getting 7 buses this year, 7 electric buses this year, 13 next year. And he wanted to cancel the contract for the 13 next year. And so this is Councillor. Oh, so we start with CFO, what's his first name?
Darren Anderson.
Darren Anderson, yes. So we've got Darren Anderson responding to a question from Councillor Zakidniak, and then Councillor Zakidniak and Councillor Siklis have a little exchange.
Is there anything in this motion that is relevant to the 2025 budget?
Mr. Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, the Chair, Mr. Mayor. If we're going to cancel a contract for a future, we don't know what the penalty clause would be for that. So we'd have to find out an estimate of what the cost would be to cancel, as well as if it would impact any of the federal funding grants that we already have based on the contracts we've already signed. So I can't tell you right now, but we would have to do an estimate to try and figure out what, if any, penalty would be charged for canceling a contract, and then down the river what the feds would say once we did that.
So canceling the contract for 2026?
Correct. We'd most likely have to pay a penalty in 2025 to cancel that contract.
So I'm going to say, because where do I even begin? Okay. So I guess this is to the mover now. So why you're proposing to move forward with this today is because you want to explore the penalty fees for canceling the contract in 2025. Is that the relevance to the 2025 budget?
Yes, partially, yeah.
Okay. And to explore how much funding we might lose from the federal government?
Yes.
Excellent. So
there's another risk too, reputational risk to the city.
Right, I agree. It is a reputational risk to the city to cancel funding agreements with the federal government.
All right.
So who was saying the other risk? Was that Siklis?
That was Siklis, Councillor Siklis.
Wasn't Councillor Siklis the one
who moved it?
Okay.
Yep.
Very well.
Yep.
I would not argue against my own motion, but I'm not Councillor Siklis. So.
It was a long meeting.
It actually went on so long that it warped around.
Exactly.
People found themselves on the opposite sides of their own motions.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So this does not pass, and it turns out that the penalty that would be considerable because the vendor was actually building the buses. They would have no responsibility to negotiate over a closure of the contract. So we could not get the buses, pay for 20 buses, but get 7, and then possibly still get sued, and then lose the grant.
What a great deal.
To cover it from the federal government, and possibly never get a federal grant ever again in the history of Regina. What a deal.
It's very fiscally responsible.
Yeah. Did you guys learn a lot over those 4 days?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Well, okay.
Oh, I think Councillor Siklis did.
Yeah.
I was sitting there because Councillor Zakidniak sits like one over, right?
Yeah.
And then Councillor Siklis is just across from me, so I could see him. And it was a very heated discussion, right? I think they were both passionate about what they were trying to achieve. And I felt like I needed popcorn because I'm just like, this is when people ask me how's it going, I'm like, it's kind of fun. This is what I mean. Like, it's quite the discussions, and I don't know where it comes, this continuous need to cancel the electric buses. I believe it's their prerogative. It's what they think is right. I don't agree with it. I think we are there. We've signed those contracts. If we decide once we've done all of that this is not good for us to have, we can choose not to continue purchasing buses.
Sure.
But this has already happened. We've gotten money from the federal government. All of the arguments that were made, right? So I think it's an interesting discussion that keeps being brought up. I don't understand why. Just we have them. Let's,
Yeah, 100%. And we're going to see 7 of them this year.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited. I think I've heard really great arguments about our ability to refurbish existing buses while these are running, and I've learned a lot about it. I didn't know a lot about electric buses, or the clauses of canceling all these contracts and like the intricacies of how it all works. And that part is a lesson learned from that, right? But
You know what I think?
What do you think?
I think that councillors who attempt to get these things cancelled, because as you say, this happens, council to council, they should be allowed to race them, and I bet you their objections would go out the window if they could get in and race the buses around.
Race the bus?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're thinking that if they let the councillors drive the electric buses,
exactly,
like maybe out at the raceway?
Yeah.
Wow, I never thought of this. This is a great idea.
I think if a councillor says we should cancel them, let's say, well, how about this?
Like Tokyo Drift style?
Exactly, if they want.
Yeah. $1.8 million bus.
Yeah, Regina
Go to
Drift.
town, councillors.
Fast and the Furious. Electric style.
Yeah. That's a really good idea. So,
it is.
As an innovative revenue tool, could there be gambling?
There could be gambling. There should be gambling.
We could sell ads.
Yeah, sell ads
on the side of the bus. Sponsorships. So, like, the councillors could wear like jackets with like sponsors on them. It could be like pure Formula One style racing.
Yeah.
You're onto something.
Yeah. So, can you make this happen? Can you?
You're the boss of Ward 6.
Yeah. What you could do is you could actually have like Councillor Zakidniak in an electric bus and Councillor Sickley's in a diesel bus, and they could race.
And Councillor Biza with just like a bulldozer? I don't know.
Yes, yeah.
I'm just
Biza's bulldozer
here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good alliteration.
Yeah, that's all I do. I have no other skills.
You're onto something.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that.
All right. Well, on that note, we should probably go to the pre-recorded innovative revenue tools right now. And we're back from Innovative Revenue Tools on the Queen City Improvement Bureau on 91.3 FM CJTR, Access Now Community Radio in the mighty city of Regina.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was like the slickest intro.
I've been watching this show called WKRP.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Where's that in?
Not sure. It's in a radio station.
I know what you're talking about. They never make it clear where it's from. They never say the name of the city. It's infuriating.
But it's pretty cool, and they've got DJs who've got cool voices. But you know who I really want to be?
Well, Les Nessman.
Do you want to be Les Nessman?
I know. Everybody wants to be Les Nessman. Come on.
No kidding. Yeah. Buckeye Newshawk Award winning Les Nessman?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
What?
Great. We love talking about 70s television.
Yeah,
I'm very lost here.
You're young.
Sometimes I say I'm either too young or just haven't lived in here long enough.
That could be it too.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So, enough budget talk.
Thank you.
Let's go on.
I went through that live. I don't need to relive it.
Okay, let's go through something else that you lived through live. 10-hour council meeting.
Yes.
You had, now I've said this on air, that you had a motion coming forward that I was really excited by because it was the kind of, it was a motion that I had never seen, hadn't been expected. It was about stuff that I knew nothing about. It was about manufactured homes. It was related to the Glen Elm Trailer Park situation.
Yeah.
And so I was really excited for this. And it ended up being in the last 40 minutes of this 10-hour meeting?
Than that.
Was it that? Oh, well, I was thinking about the discussion. The delegations went on for a long time.
Yes.
So, you had a motion to sort of address some of the problems that the Glen Elm Trailer Park people have faced. But since you've been talking to them, can you sort of tell us their story?
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's a really hard story because many of these people have been living there for a really long time, and what I learned through going as I connected with them and learning about the community, this was advertised as this retirement community, right? So many people had planned to retire there, and a lot of people have moved there because they like the sense of community for their kids, but it's also a very affordable place to live for many people. And I think, as many of us know, that is a really tough situation all across Canada.
Yep.
So many people had been living there for a really long time, and out of the blue, they were giving eviction notice. So that was really surprising to them, and I attended one of their first meetings where they gather as a community to figure out what to do. And in that first meeting, they came together and formed an association, which I thought was incredible, right? Like, they were like trying to figure out a solution for themselves, and I was really happy and proud to see that, even though it was coming from a terrible place. But they had the spirit, and they were all trying to figure out a solution. And there were a few more meetings. I attended a couple, and in that, trying to figure out, is there anything that I can do as a city councillor or to support them? The land is privately owned, so the city doesn't have any say as to what happens in there, even if the owner hasn't kept up with the pipes or whatever's happening in there. Because I asked, right? Like, as soon as I found out about this, I was asking administration, I was asking, like, anyone that I could figure to tell me what is going on. And the thing is, like, we could not do much about it. But I think that's the hardest part, is the consequences to the community in there. The seniors that are living on fixed income, that are completely priced out of any other rental or home buying spaces, kids who are still in school that have to just move halfway through the year, just people that were fully not planning on moving. So it's just like a horrible situation all around. There's just no good anything about it. But a few people had asked me, well, can I just move my trailer, like my home, my manufactured home in the city? Why can't I just do that? I was like, well, let me look into it. And our current zoning doesn't allow for manufactured homes to be moved anywhere other than a zoned space for that. And through that, I also looked up, well, are there other places in Canada that are similar, that have the ability to put manufactured homes just anywhere where it fits? Like, there is certain regulations, lot size, like the width of the streets to get there. Like, there's a ton of other technicalities that need to happen, but if those are in place, why can't we put a manufactured home there, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what started this motion, because I was very aware that this is not a solution that's going to help, especially the immediate need of the people that have to leave in a couple months. The initial eviction notice was for April 30th, and that was extended to a couple months after. But still, I understand that's not enough time, but people are being evicted in like different timelines, so this could potentially allow some people to be able to stay in the city, because many of them were trying to figure out, okay, if we move, where do we go? There's nowhere else in the city where they could go, so they were like North Battleford or like towns like hours away. So it's like, so we're basically making it so our community members who've been in Regina forever, who don't want to move, have to move because our zoning doesn't allow for them to stay. Right. So like, let's change it. Let's figure out if we could do that. And then in addition to that, this would allow us to explore other affordable housing options, because manufactured homes, from what I've learned, are being used as affordable housing options in other places throughout Canada and are working out well, right? Because the cost is not like building new on a, like, from a basement and like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry. But it allows people to find, if they have the space, to be able to afford a home that way, right? But yeah, I learned lots about manufactured homes, RMTs, modular homes, ready-to-move homes, which are different than manufactured homes, which are currently allowed. So, ready-to-move-in homes are the ones that are brought in and they're put in a foundation and they never move.
Okay.
A manufactured home could potentially move if the owner chose to move it.
Right.
And there's the tiny homes, there's the modular homes, which are allowed. So those are the ones that come in pieces and just form homes or buildings, things like that. So there's a lot of really innovative things that are happening within construction in terms of building homes and how it all is working. So,
right.
Yeah.
You know what I'd like to see?
What would you like to
hot
see?
Hot air balloon homes.
Oh.
People just live like, in hot air balloons. And, you just constantly, you
I wonder what the zoning for that would be.
Yeah, some weird aerial use. I don't know. You'd have to square it with the city's crime plane, but other than that, it should be fine.
I think it would run afoul of the city's height limits.
Yeah.
That
for
would be
new developments.
Well, I mean,
don't
but
put it by
be
the airport.
Yeah, right.
That's right.
Oh my God.
I'm going to say the height limit is only for starting at the ground, like how tall it is. But the homes themselves wouldn't be tall; they'd just be high up.
Okay, I guess it would just depend on how you decide to measure the height of the home.
I guess
probably with a tape measure. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Okay. The zones that you wanted to allow are residential urban, residential neighborhood, residential low-rise, and residential detached?
Correct. Yeah.
And so you guys are going to be exploring allowing manufactured homes in those neighborhoods.
So for this motion, I had, like I said, I'm an overachiever, so I talked to...
I was going to say, you don't have to write the bylaw.
Look.
You have a city solicitor.
No, but it was
3-4 pages.
I wanted to be thorough. But no, I met with administration who helped me figure out, what is it that you need from me? Because originally I was exploring just high density areas, but they had some feedback based on previous things that they had dealt with. So it was really good to talk with them. I had actually called other municipalities that have made changes in their bylaws to see how it's worked for them. All kinds of things. So that kind of informed all of it, right? And it's just to figure out, let's explore how it would work in Regina, considering all of these things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you had it all worked out. You had you did basically have the bylaw written.
Yes.
It was a very impressive motion. And then on the floor of council, gosh,
was cut out the middleman.
Councillor Sickley's again.
Oh, nice.
He makes a motion to buy the land. Well, no. First he starts. He wants to annex the land, and the city solicitor pointed out, well, you can't actually annex the land because it's already in the city. Yeah. And then you can't. What was the other one? It was take the land over. There's a word for it.
Expropriate.
Expropriate. Yeah. And she was like, that would be very legally difficult. And so finally settled on buying it. But again, that would come down to whether or not, this all happened in council yesterday, whether or not the landowner wanted to sell. And by signaling on the floor of council that the city was considering buying the land.
Well, cha-ching.
Yeah.
For whoever. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So if he was watching that council meeting, he was just like, well... This land is valuable again.
I do have to say it came from a really good place.
Yes, that's true.
I think everybody who had the opportunity to hear the delegations who share their stories, and they all had different ways in which this was impacting them, right? From people who are on fixed income, from people who are going through different, health-related issues, and that's impacting that. All kinds of stories.
Yeah.
And I think that really humanized the issue for everybody, because it's not just a headline anymore. It's not just hey, this is happening somewhere. It's I am meeting the people who are being impacted by this in a way that could render them homeless.
Yeah.
I think it would take a completely heartless person to not try to do something about that.
Yep.
So I was really happy to see the enthusiasm of people trying to figure out a solution, because, as I said, I had explored all of this ahead of time, right? I had asked those questions, and I knew because it's a privately owned land, we can't compel someone to do anything when they own private land. So just seeing the the willingness to be like, let's do something, I was like, yes, like we're united in our will to help our community members. And I think that was the good thing at it. Like, even if it was 10 hours later, nobody was like, I'm too tired for this. It's like, these people need help and we're going to figure out a solution. Was I happy that we were talking about buying private land like that? Probably not. But the spirit of that, I was really happy about that. Right?
And the motion came away beefed up. So there's going to be another report.
Exactly.
Looking at other options too.
So not only are we exploring a rezoning, but we're also exploring more ways to support these community members. Because I think, like, the whole genesis of this was, how can we help these community members who are in a position, they're no fault of their own, they've all been paying their lot fees for years, they're just living their lives and they're suddenly displaced, right? So the fact that everyone rallied to try to find a solution, I think that speaks a lot to like, there's, the good intentions of that, and I really appreciate that.
And I think this is something that may not have gone so well with the last council, for example. Just going on vibes.
Maybe where they had more experience and knew this wasn't possible, they might not have explored the options the same way.
Or it just seems like the struggles of individual people in the last council, I think by the end, were not being explored or respected as well. But anyway.
We're on 91.3 FM CJTR Regina Community Radio, also known as Access Now Community Radio. One thing that I found fascinating about this was it was an object lesson, because the problem that the people were facing at this trailer park is that the water system was privately owned, had not been maintained, it was failing, and now they had nowhere to live. Whereas the people who lived on the side of the park, where the city maintained the water lines and paid property taxes to keep that up and utility fees, that was fine, and those people can stay there. So it was for now, but it was a real lesson in how public utilities and having a municipal government who has a responsibility and rules and regulations and laws about how they have a responsibility to protect their citizens, it really works, right? It means that neighborhoods every year aren't having their water systems collapse and being rendered unlivable. Instead, we pay money into our utility reserve and we keep these things up. Also, that the impulse for council, and a lot of these councillors are, noted free market dudes. Their response is, well, we just got to buy the land. And I'm like, yeah, public ownership, communism, bring it on. Finally, they're coming around.
I was very excited.
Yeah.
I am all for providing for our citizens in a sustainable way in which we can not leave them at the whim of private ownership that might decide to take it away someday. So, as I said, I was very happy with the spirit of working for the betterment of our community and responding to an immediate need of people who are struggling. I was like, yes, that if we can keep that spirit up for the rest of this term, that's the best. Let's do it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now we just got to get council reading some Karl Marx, some Trotsky.
I've got the second edition of
spook them. Stop.
Show up in Karl Marx wig and mask.
Yeah. You got the beard coming.
I do. I just see the hair now.
Yeah. So your motion, and it was the beefed up motion passed unanimously.
Yep.
Your motion passed unanimously. Mm-hmm. So we've got a report coming back on this mid-April, was it?
For the residents support, yes, and then the report on the manufactured homes later on, third quarter at the latest. Okay. So again, that was back to talking to administration, realistically, given all of the other things on the docket, when can you get this on? So that's at the latest, but they're working to do it sooner. So ideally sooner, but that's likely when we'll see it.
Cool. And how did the residents feel afterwards? Have you heard any thumbs up, thumbs down yet?
So I chatted with them afterwards because they were all still in the gallery when the meeting
was
was
in 10 hours.
Yeah,
Wow.
no,
Yeah.
it was again like these are people who are determined, who are like fighting for their homes to be able to, like, many of them don't want to move, and why would they? Like, their community is there. Like someone spoke about, here I can walk everywhere, like everything I need is around here. If I move, all of that is gone, right? So I think many of them were happy to see that we're exploring more than just this, and I think we're going to continue to have conversations about how can we inform some of these other decisions and get feedback from them, because it's not just the community members that were at council, but there's everybody else, right? And everybody has different needs, different timelines, different budgets, so it's trying to figure out if we're supporting people, what does that look like, and who needs the most support, and what are those timelines like.
Nice. And how about you? This is like your first big motion.
Yes.
How's that feel? One down.
It felt good. I had a few other things related to pedestrian safety that I was working on as a kind of first motion type of thing, but again, this came because it was happening, right? So it was. I'm happy with how it all went down. The discussions we had, I learned a lot about manufactured homes. So, I mean, that was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you have a motion coming up soon on food security?
Yes. Yeah. So there are a number of community groups in the Heritage neighborhood who are currently doing incredible work in terms of food security in the community that supports a lot of the community organizations in the area, along with the street team, which supports people in North Central. So they prepare meals for people. But currently they're working out of a number of different kitchens, and that is just not sustainable. So we are exploring finding space in city-owned facilities where they can work that out of. So to store the food, cook the food, and just do the work that they're already doing. So what I really loved about that is a lot of community groups coming together and pooling their resources, knowledge, expertise, networks. They're working with the business faculty at the University of Regina to support on the sustainable plan of this, to not always depend on grants. So how can you work this out to do all kinds of really great things in the long term? So the next motion will be related to just getting the space for them and perhaps some funding. I'm just still trying to work out if it's going to be through us or just figure out other ways. But it is a way to continue filling in those gaps in terms of food insecurity for vulnerable residents in our community.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Well, I do have one more question.
Yes.
From that 10-hour meeting. Friggin' airport, man. So
you've had it up to here.
I've had it up to here with the friggin' airport. So the airport.
There's a vein on Paul's forehead.
Oh my God!
About the airport.
So in short, and I could go on about this for hours, the airport has basically said, we don't want no big houses. We don't want no apartment buildings built anywhere in this swath. So it's hard to do this on the radio because there's land close to the airport that they're like, you shouldn't build houses there, and that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Some of it. But then there's this other fringe that's outside of it where it's apparently noisy, where we already have houses, and they don't want any density in there. So they basically want the housing accelerator stuff that says up to 4 units per lot by right. They want that reversed for this entire area of the city. And it's I don't know how big it is. It's a significant chunk of the Southwest. Yep. And it also extends out into close to Lakeview, and it's all over the place. It's this big spider.
Well, my understanding is that one complaint will shut the entire airport down, possibly forever.
Dude, in Toronto, there is an airport. They won't even let you land jets there.
What?
It's true. Because of complaints.
Think of the planes.
Think of the planes, Aiden.
Think of the planes. Won't somebody think of the Think of the planes.
The Billy Bishop Airport. The only airport in all of Toronto.
Named after
no
Billy
jets. So anyways.
They go to Pearson. That'll be fun.
Anyways.
Deep breaths.
Trying. Yeah, so the airport has said, we don't want any extra density in these neighborhoods in this area, because if you increase the density, there could be more complaints. And then a council somewhere down the line might say, the airport, we can't have planes at night, or we can't have big planes or jets.
Right. We're going to Billy Bishop this airport.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyways, I was rather frustrated that this came back, and then with administration caving, because they had put out a report in October last year saying, no, we can build in this area 2, and there should be no controls on area 3, which is even further out and even more of the city. Mm-hmm. And they caved, and we're going to be you can only have 2 units, so going back to the old zoning. You voted against this.
Yes.
Can I ask you why? I think I'm exuding my frustrations. How do you feel about this?
I didn't notice.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Think of the plane. No. I was frustrated with... It was frustrating to hear about, so reading the reports, the federal regulations said one thing, and this report was like, but let's just do a bit more than that. Yeah. And then we also heard, and again, even the other meeting where we talked to the developer who was not able to build what he was planning, said, I've never felt bad for a developer in my life, that way. Because usually, it's the other way, right? They're trying to... The typical stories about it, right? But in this case, you had a developer who was being really mindful of the community around, who was doing everything he could to do this right, which I commended. So that didn't go through, and now we're expanding this even more. And we heard from other developers who shared that they were not consulted for this, right? So
even the Home Builders Association say they weren't consulted on this.
Yeah. So it just, to me, this is not, it didn't feel like it was something, it felt overreaching.
Yeah.
And just prescribing things that, the sense of doom that we're going to collapse our economy because no airplane is going to come here because everyone's going to complain.
4 units instead of 2 units will kill Regina.
So... Yeah. I did not agree with that, and ultimately that's why I voted against it. And I think people had their reasons, and the thing that's hard about it for me is it's not that we're saying that the airport is not important to our economy, or that making sure that they're set up for success is not important, because it is, right? We want to make sure that people are able to come in and out of Regina in the best way possible, and their options and all of that. I fully agree.
Yeah.
However, we also have to think about, if we're saying we want to have higher density, we want to deal with this, shortage of housing, but then we prescribe this very restrictive zoning of how people are allowed to do that. It just is not congruent. So, that was the reasoning behind that.
I also find it frustrating because, this whole idea that we have to protect the airport because of its economic importance to the city, when that's really not taking into consideration Regina's hot air balloon future.
Exactly.
And
Speaking
eventually
now,
the airplane will be obsolete when we are a city that floats.
Yes, and we're entirely run on dirigibles.
Yes.
We
can go where we need to go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We're actually a stealth delegation for a hot air balloon city.
Yeah. Anyways, I just needed to get that off my chest about the airport, because that was hard to listen to. And that was what you guys started with.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that probably took one of the biggest chunks of the day.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're just about out of time here. What do you have coming up? What are you doing that we should look out for? Do you have any gigs?
I'm playing addiction. I'm kidding. I'm not. No. So there's a motion on the food security motion, and I'm really I'm looking at things related to improving the way people's experience in Regina, right? Like I talked about earlier, I was looking at pedestrian safety related things in relation to our Vision Zero plan, and just how do we make the city a place where people just like being in the city, right? And for me, I love going out to green spaces, going for bike rides, going to parks, going to events, festivals, things like that. So how do we make that just better and more in our city? So
awesome. Okay, well, we will watch out for your motions. But on that note, boss of Ward 6.
Love it.
I think we have to look into that thing that we do.
That thing? Where we move to adjourn?
I'd second that motion.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to pass that motion.
I oppose. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, wait. Okay, we're going to be here for another 10 hours, folks. No, sorry, I'm overruling. This motion is passed, and the meeting is adjourned. You've been listening to the Queen City Improvement Bureau on 91.3 FM, Access Now Community Radio. Tune into the community. Our hosts are Paul Deschênes and Aidan Morgan. Our guest is the boss of Ward 6, Councillor Victoria Flores. Music by Guidewire, a.k.a. Ryan Hill. You can find us. We are broadcast live at 7 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays and rebroadcast 3 to 4 p.m. on Monday afternoons. So catch us again when you're driving home from work, if you're cutting out early, which you should do. Anyway, exactly. Find us on Blue Sky. Paul is there at PD City Hall, and I am there at thepalinode.com. And that is it. Also our website, queencityid.com and cjtr.ca. That's it. Keep on improving, Regina.